welcome back to the Luminary Studios. This is a pod about podcasting, and I'm Edward, and I'm joined with Johann and Kiley today.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Hi, good, thank you.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, today we're going to do a podcast about distribution. Like, what do you do with your pod? You've done the hard work. You've done your podcast, your first one.
Have we?
Yeah. Oh, well, you have. Talk to the audience. And then it's like, well, what do I do with it now?
Yeah, that's very true.
And what can I do? Not just like, how do I distribute it? What can I do with this one piece of content? Because it's not just a case of like, oh, I've got one podcast now. You can make reels out of it. You can do all sorts of things.
It's the value of that podcast and where it can go, who it can go to, and yes, the who, the whys, the whats, and all of that jazz.
Some people find it very weird because it's a conversation. It's like, I can make more than just one thing out of a chat. You can if you're smart, especially if you've got something a bit more structured and got like a topic that can actually be broken down into like several smaller videos or reels or clips or whatever to have it out there easy to go.
Yeah. So that is really the starting point of this episode. Just in fact, like, you've recorded, say your podcast is like 45 minutes long. Yeah. You can literally get loads more stuff out of that.
Like, you can really sort of like take your time to like figure out what you can do with just the thing. Sometimes that footage after the thing could be used for get a soundbite. Sometimes the sound bites are just great. Sometimes it's just to use for footage to promote other stuff.
And within one conversation, so many things can happen as well. So although you might be discussing one particular topic, you might have sections where you've kind of gone off and spoken about something else. So you can kind of snip all those little bits and chop it all up. And you've got so many things that then still link back to the full episode. There's
some bits as well, like we've had for example, Ed and I sometimes go on tangent. Mostly because of me.
I can't believe that at all.
Me on a tangent. But sometimes it goes to a tangent off to a point that is not technically relevant for the topic we're talking about. So that sometimes gets cut out. But that doesn't mean you can't go back and use that later on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, look at bloopers. Bloopers always go down well. Sometimes you use them in your main episode because some people don't cut out like mistakes and stuff in their main podcast. So you can kind of have the bloopers in there. But like, I don't know, when I'm editing podcasts, always like, oh, that's a funny bit, put that to one side, and then by the end of it, you've got another piece of content of just funnies.
Yeah, you can always create your own little genre of what you want to achieve as well. I mean, the whole idea of the podcast as well is that people get to see you as a human, and we all make mistakes. We all have silly things that we say and do. So it's where you want to catch that in one go, or actually have it as a separate little thing to kind of say, oh, look what happened, and, you know, we are human and things go wrong sometimes.
Yeah, and I fumble all the time. My nervous energy. I'm always anxious. But there's also a thing as well, like, you know how sometimes you have, like, I think Ed and I, when we did videos in particular, you have an intro and outro. Yeah. Sometimes it's easier just to sort of do a small little thing at the beginning or at the end of it as your intro and outro. Yeah. And then you just record that bit, and that's just already something. And that's even then, that's an intro and outro. If you're smart enough, you can reuse that intro and outro for future episodes. Yeah. Especially if it's just sort of like the regular spiel. And then you just record that and you just bring it back over.
When they're a nice little hook, aren't they, to get people in as well?
Yeah, I mean, I have seen a lot of people actually record separately, just like their own intro and outro. And although when you're watching it as a video, they're always wearing those same clothes on that particular intro and outro. Some people don't care about that kind of thing. And it just looks good to have exactly what you want to hear in that particular thing every time. So you don't, have an episode where I've missed to say, promote it on, come and chat to us on Instagram and things like that. If you've always got that in there every episode, I think that's it
almost becomes a bit of your uniform. Like, we're all sat here in our Luminary stuff, you know, for someone who's doing it on a bit of a podcast episode, the same bit can become a bit of a uniform. That's how it starts, how it's looking. People get to understand and know what that looks like as well.
We are fortunate that we wear the same things, everyone, so we can literally like...
I was going to say, because otherwise, imagine if I was like, I've just started to go completely...
It's worth pointing out that all our episodes where we're wearing uniform have been recorded separately.
So that is something to think about in a weird way, like continuity sometimes. If you did want to add some little extra bits and you were thinking about, well, am I going to be wearing something different? You could just like, this is what I wear on my podcasts or whatever.
Yeah. But again, I suppose, I think we're going off track again, but if you do decide to come in and change your outfit, you can create the illusion that you have started a new episode as well. Even if you're sitting in the same session, you can make it look like, oh no, I did 3 episodes. You know, no one has to know they're on the same day.
Yeah, exactly. You could just change the outfit and do it from there, do it in one session, especially if sessions are short. And again, being able to do that and then break them off into whatever you need is probably, it's not just, it just goes the one thing and that's it. You can really touch it up and reuse it over and over again and use little bits that weren't there before to make more stuff.
Yeah, you're making it bespoke for your needs.
Right, so next thing we're going to talk about is creating a body of work you can be proud of.
It makes it harder for you to get stuff out of the thing that you're doing if you're not happy with it or not proud of it. Like if you're
Absolutely.
So if
you'll
you
lose passion immediately, won't you?
Because then you're forced to, I need to cut through this. Oh, this was a slog of an episode to do. I don't know. This person was really boring, or I kept fumbling, or I was really off today. Sometimes when you have a really bad off day, it shows on camera and it becomes really difficult. So you have to be sure that when you're coming in, you are happy with what you've done, because then you can make that into something so much more than just a single episode you just want to launch out and forget about.
Yeah, because podcasts aren't like a fixing post piece of content, are they? Not everyone's familiar with that term, but like if you're thinking about, like, there are people who think about the edit. Like, they think about, I can just edit all this out. I can edit that out. I can edit that out. If you want really a podcast to be smooth and be a conversation, you don't want to think about it being butchered in the edit and kind of cut like a Frankenstein's monster.
I tried that. So ages ago, obviously we had the Trash Tapes podcast. That unfortunately was a bit of a Frankenstein's job at the very early days, because we would just talk for 2-3 hours. And I always say I hate 3-hour podcasts because they're too long. I like them like bite size, which is 90 minutes or less. So to cut it out and then sort of move things around and get coherent sense and add clips and all that, it becomes sort of like, because it was audio, that was fine. But I knew, like, I didn't talk about that properly in the conversation until about an hour later. And it's just like this weird Frankenstein mess. And you don't want that.
Because we also had reactions to movies that we watch a whole movie and record a reaction to it. And we had to implement that into the episode as well. Yeah. And it becomes long. I mean, I had not like, it wasn't a tough job, but I edited the second episode, which is our open day. Yeah. And that is a different kind of piece because you are using lots of interviews into one piece. So it does require more editing. So you do have that sometimes to do, but so it's a good thing to think about what's going into your episodes and like how long are they going to take to put together.
But it's a nice little segue into the fact that anyone coming here have got you guys to do all that for them.
This is why you are in marketing and we're not, because I would not mention that. But we're the editors, so we can do the reels and the main edit episode for you, which I think is, I don't know, it's a little extra because editing does take a while, and some people are just not into it.
And these are things that I think people generally will worry about when they're coming in. It's not about just recording, where it's going to go, who can see it, but how is it going to get to the point where they can share it in a way they're proud of. And again, that's why you guys come in, because they can come here and they don't have to worry about that. It will be done for you.
We'll do it. We'll do that. So
it helps.
And most of the time as well, I think we'd advise to at least get the basic editing package, because if we recorded it for you and we gave you the footage, if you're not familiar with how to edit, it would be quite challenging to put it together, because it's layers of video that are stacked together, and you have to put it all together yourself, and you don't want to make a mess of your own piece, basically.
It's 3 cameras running at once, as well as 3 audio files running at once that need audio syncing and all this stuff. So this is what I mean by going back to the topic again of being proud of your work. It's like, if that was a good time, you will go through the slog of maybe cutting it yourself and knowing and then thinking about where it all goes. If you had a really bad time, or you just not feeling it that day, that is going to be an episode or something that will forever linger in the abyss of I'm not doing anything.
But I think a lot of that is, because you've done that episode, you know what you're capable of and maybe what you didn't achieve. And this is why, again, coming back to you guys as editors, if someone comes in and they don't know what they're doing with that, you can say to them, like, you focus on having a conversation. Don't worry about it's like in writing where your paragraphs are going. Just talk about it, and we'll make sure that when it's edited, it's put together in a coherent way that makes sense to your audience.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes you need an extra eye.
Yeah.
Like when you do something, you need someone to look back and go, oh, you can make this, and this, and this.
Yeah, and then they always get like the behind the scenes magic of they might have come in and felt like they were all over the place, completely scattered. But by the time you've edited it, they can watch it back and go, So straight away, with that hidden bit of magic, they're seeing something they're proud of, going back to the idea of having a proud body of work and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that we can help create that, even if they come in and feel like, oh my goodness, today's just not worked. We can make it work.
Yeah. And that's what it is. Having that extra eye, we can come up with some fun stuff. I mean, just looking at this on its own, like obviously episode 2 was the open day. And basically what we just did for that episode, really, other than just interviewing them, we just did the intro. But this is the funny thing about the intro. We just knew we had to do an intro and outro. There wasn't any guidelines in that case. That was manic. And you can see when I'm sat there going like, way! But the good thing about that is one, that made for a very funny intro and outro. We were able, and because we had like 5 interviews, those 5 interviews, which should now, at the time of record, by the time this episode comes out, will already be up on the YouTube channel. That's now stuff to prove. That's now more content out of that.
Yeah, I mean, just from that, you say the open day alone, although, we had fun, obviously, putting it all together, we then did the intros, we also did the outro where we almost analysed how the day went as well. Yeah. But from just doing that one, I know from obviously all our spreadsheets that we're doing behind the scenes, content that can go out there, we've got so much. We've got, lots of different things for like individual people's reels. We've got the bloopery stuff. We've got the teaser reels, all can link back to the full episode. Yeah. And it reaches people in short little snippets on whatever platform you want to target people, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram. Things do need to be done in a different way across different platforms. And by doing podcasting, you can access all them platforms. Which
is where I think that will lovely segue into, we have the video, we've made it, we've done the podcast, we've made it, we've cut it. And the big question is, which is a big theme of this, is distribution. So the idea is, where does it all go? And which ones are better? Where do you put it up there? Because that is now a minefield.
Yeah, and obviously you've had more experience out of all of us of doing that, because you always set up our podcast, things like that. So what would your advice be in terms of distributors, things like that?
So the main 3 I'd always mention is obviously you have YouTube now. YouTube does podcasts on its own now, which is really good.
Yeah, it's got the RSS feed in there and everything.
So if you want to listen to, if you want to go on YouTube, you want to listen to the audio version of the podcast, you can actually find that on YouTube as well as from our RSS feed. Then you got Spotify. Now, Spotify has now become really, really good for the simple fact that it has a lot of the tools. It's very basic tools it needs, and it's also free. It's also free as well. But, and this is where it kind of gets a little fiddly with this thing, especially the same with Apple Podcasts as well, is that it has a weird sort of exclusivity kind of thing, where you get the RSS feed, which is sort of like this code that tells you what's in this podcast and all the details, but they won't distribute it to other places for you. You kind of have to do that yourself. They kind of if you're going to do this through Spotify, which I think Spotify at the moment is really, really good to put all your information there. They have all the things sorted out for you. They have the analytics, which is what kind of interesting as well.
Spotify is the leading, in my opinion, it's the leading platform, isn't it?
It's the leading platform, and the good thing, it's free.
Yeah. I think ultimately the key to take away is that all these platforms are accessible to everybody. And no matter where you want to put your content, as long as you can link it back to where you have got all of your content, everyone can access it.
Yeah, because it's all down to just getting the code and then sharing in the right spots.
Yeah.
There are other platforms that do have extra bits. So, for example, things like Acast and Buzzsprout.
Yeah, we've used both, haven't we, in the past? Yeah.
Those two, what they do is that's the one that kind of give you more incentives. But unfortunately, those ones you've got to pay a membership for. So you have to pay a membership. If you pay that membership, we could get you to find places to get sponsorships for said thing. Or we can help you monetize these things easier. by putting adverts in between your thing, or it's like, oh, if you want this, or do you want to be distributed? Don't worry, we'll distribute it on all this automatically for you. Yeah. So from Acast, say, oh, where you wanted to go? I want to go here, 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 here. Cool, button. Done.
I know, it gets the ball moving a lot faster, doesn't it? They almost like instantaneously appear on all the platforms, don't they?
They do.
Like, yeah.
Well, like for this one, we did, because we'd gone through Spotify, we did have to go a little bit on taking a bit of time going to find those. But this also means we know which platforms are going on instead of being blasted out like a shotgun. But if you wanted to be out everywhere, they work, but they just have to pay. You have to pay a bit to get them sorted out and to keep them up on there, because in order to keep sort of sometimes your old episode, let's say you do a podcast for about, let's say yours is a short series, you've done like 10 episodes you don't want to do anymore. Sometimes you still have to keep paying the service to keep those podcasts up. So those are, while they're good for, especially if you're planning to keep consistency, monetization, marketing, all that kind of stuff. If you just want the episode out there, don't bother with those and just go on to Spotify, I think. I think that's the best place to start. Plus, Spotify now does video. And same with Apple Podcasts. Yeah. So it all works.
And you said something interesting to me earlier. Like a lot of people nowadays are saying, did you watch that podcast rather than did you listen to that podcast? Yeah. It's becoming more like of a video thing now, that it's like that is the go-to rather than it just being listened to. Yeah. It's like, did you watch that? And I'd not heard anyone say that before. I was like, did you listen to that podcast? It was always in my brain. But now it's like, no, did you watch it?
Although it is funny because, I mean, there is a podcast that I listen to. Yeah. But then I know we've only done a couple, but when it is ours, I watch it. I watch our podcast because I think it's visually interesting as well. Yeah. So I think depends on what the type of conversation is. When you want someone to see it, it's nice. You've got people that respond differently, people that do kind of like them audio. You've got some that are more kind of visual. I am a more visual person. So most of the time, even if I'm listening to something, I'll be picturing what's happening. So if it's there already for me, it's kind of nice.
It helps.
If they're just in their bedroom and there's like a packet of biscuits in the
I'm not sure I'll be a fan.
Oh, it's rubbish. Oh, those are rubbish. I hate those. But if they're like, put a little effort and panache and the video looks quite nice and they're like in a studio, then I see loads of people putting that in the background like that while they're hoovering, or they're like, or they just want background noise while they're like doing work or homework or whatever it is. They're doing that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, Sam, a prime example. So we had episode 2 that's going to be coming out very soon. I started watching it this morning, sat in my kitchen, and I was like, I've got to go to work now. So I quickly put my earpods in, switched it over to audio, and I still had it there. So every time something sort of grabbed my interest, I could just look down and catch up on it. Yeah. So it's a real good way of mixing, but thinking, I've got to be somewhere. I don't have to stop listening. I can still carry on.
Yeah.
So now you've got your podcast distributed, it's on all the platforms and stuff, then you're moving on to social promotion, aren't you, after that? Yeah. So what are the best platforms, and would you recommend, so for example, should everyone use all of them, or should they just use where their audience already is? If
I like how you're both looking at me now.
Yeah. You are the marketing queen here, so.
So I think a lot of it very much depends on your audience. If it's something very specific that you're going for, if you are more businessy, LinkedIn obviously is going to be your best friend for that. However, that's when your little snippets of things are ideal, because you're not going to get your full podcast episode on LinkedIn. No. So that's where you can use like your little teasers, your stills, like your photographs from your podcast to say, look, we've done this, you can talk about it, and then you can link it to another platform where it can be reached. So going back to what I said earlier about, you can put it literally anywhere, as long as you are locating the main source of where you can find the full episode. Everyone can read it, everyone can see it, everyone can listen to it. Yeah. Even with Instagram, Instagram is very scrollable these days. So you kind of flick through it. So as long as you've got like a little teaser on there, again, in the caption, in your bio, wherever, link it to where it is and it's accessible, and you get all these little multi-bits. And you can put those on every platform, but it's still coming back to the main episode.
Yeah. I always wonder, actually, saying like, depending on the platform, do you have to change your tone? Because obviously you've done some of the copywriting for some of the stuff so far. Depending on the platform, so let's say, do you do the same for LinkedIn as you would do on Instagram? Or would you do, or even other platforms we haven't even mentioned before, like does X work the same way as doing something like another platform or YouTube Shorts or whatever?
I haven't been on X for years, so I'm not sure.
But you know what I mean?
I think that comes back to if it's your business and it's branding. If it's like your tone of voice, the way that you want things to be said, then obviously it would come from a more of a business kind of perspective. So like LinkedIn pages would maybe have a slightly different spin on what might be written as opposed to your your main personal profile where you might share that content.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will come very much down to, I suppose, the tone of voice for that particular branding and how it's being used.
And there's specific things that work better on other things. Like I know from doing like socials many times that like TikTok has its own hashtags that work well. Like like for example, one I use, like if I'm doing retro gaming on TikTok is actually a hashtag on that's really good for that particular platform, but wouldn't work on Instagram because it's got TikTok actually in the hashtag. But a lot of like YouTube Shorts will just read the metadata will just read like your title and it'll look at your thumbnail and that's what will if they're good, it'll put them in front of people. Like it'll just work that way.
And I think as well, I mean, this is where we sort of like segue into a whole different bit where if you look at like with stylistic marketing stuff, if you needed it to be accessing certain things, that is when if you have someone who's really good at doing their marketing and know what they're doing, you can tweak things, fine tune it so that your content is going to get seen.
Yeah.
So there are different ways. Again, it just depends on the use of your podcast and what you're using it for and who you want to target it to.
Because that's the thing, right? At the end of the day, I know people who, like, for example, make a whole profile for stuff. I mean, you guys have got a work profile. I unfortunately haven't. I've been too lazy personally. I'm just going to say that now. But I will say this, though. Like, I know some people have their own work profile that share other stuff. I know people do, if they're doing a whole podcast stuff, they come up with a whole new social media, like everything, right? But that does make more hard work because then you have to go and say, oh, we've got this new thing. And let's say you've already got your personal one. You have to promote it on there to say, hey, if you like what you've done here, mom, basically, like, or all your friends and family say, hey, could you join on this thing or tell them to do that because you need that boost automatically. Yeah. So you just need to know roughly where do you find the most of the people you're going to more likely get a hold of. So let's say, for example, if you're more businessy associated, you might want to focus more on LinkedIn more than anything else. Or if you notice that it is a bit more purposeful and you might think it might be more approachable on Meta, so Facebook and Instagram.
I think it's everything's a bit different because I think, you sort of said the idea it can seem like it's harder work if you've got different accounts doing different things, which I get, it can be. But the beauty of having it separate is that you get to see sometimes the business in its kind of like professionalism, how it is.
True.
But then you get the people behind the business. Yeah. And we can kind of freely talk about the business in our own tone of voice, how we are as people. And still traffic people through to the business.
This is fair.
So it kind of works. And again, people respond and engage to people in different ways. Some people might like the casual, relaxed. Some people might be like, oh, I want the business side of things, very kind of corporate. And it just allows more engagement. I think if you've got that kind of crossover between things, and again, like the podcasting episodes, as long as you're kind of linking it back to the main source, if you're talking about a business from your personal account, you're taking it back to where it belongs and you get to see it.
It's also kind of the thing where if you're using a personal one and, your personal one is like you sometimes talk about your own personal stuff and memes and all that kind of stuff. And then suddenly you want people to then you start putting stuff that's based on your own work and putting it up there. Half the time, they will not be paying that much attention to it. They're probably just, it's all within a spew of like, oh, here's a thing about a podcast. Oh, here's a funny meme I found. Like instantaneously afterwards. And so it almost becomes as a flood. So I do get having something that you just put it up there.
It is quite satisfying when you've got a page just for one particular thing because the platform likes that. The platform likes you to post one like particular topic frequently. If you start mixing things up, it might not like, oh, what do I do with this? I don't know who to put this in front of.
And again, I think it's kind of platform specific because obviously on LinkedIn, I know whether I'm, on the Luminary page or my own page, I'm still Luminary. And I'm still, from LinkedIn, I'm still discussing all things relative to, but I can adjust the tone of voice.
Yeah.
Whereas Instagram, I suppose you can do all sorts. I mean, I know I've got my personal accounts, I've got business accounts, I've got the work account, I've got a personal business account that kind of helps traffic things through. So there's a lot going on. But if you use it properly, it's still navigating the people in the right place. And like I say, it's nice to have designated pages. And then when you are scrolling, you get things fed to you that are relevant to what you're actually posting about. So it's a good way of connecting.
I do like that. Like I my new page just for like posting like Luminary stuff.
Yeah.
Is all related to like camera stuff, like videographers. And there's lots of funny like posts about like, dealing with all things that you come across every day-to-day life with editors and videographers. And I didn't see all that before. But then there's also potential for like clients and stuff creeping in as well. Like,
and I think if everyone's kind of doing that, it opens the door for more communication and contact between people who are like-minded doing the same sorts of things as well. But so if I went onto my personal one, it would just be like cats and haircuts and nails and stuff. You know,
where are my clients?
Why does no one a podcast?
So are you telling me that I should get off my butt and just have one?
Yeah, pretty much.
I should make one then.
It is nice. And then you realise that, I've got all this stuff that I can post, that if I just kept flooding my own normal feed with all this stuff, people would be like, well, I don't want to see that all the time.
Like it needs to be in a place that's for like-minded people and purposeful. So it's still personal, but purposeful. And again, going back to the origin and the point of this podcast, in terms of where you can put your content, you can create spaces for your content as well. So if you've got different snippets of things from your podcast episode that's relevant to one thing, there isn't anything to say you can't put that in one area on an Instagram account and then something else on another area. You can personalize it, make it your own.
So that's really the topic, really, isn't it? That we've gone through it. The idea is that it's all a weird bit muddy about where it goes, but there's a lot of it. And there's a lot of things you can come out of just by filming one episode.
Yeah.
And then how that's distributed and where that all goes. There's a lot there. But I think we've pinpointed some of the good bits and some pieces of advice.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to, that was a really funny switch to the audience. But if you want to book a session with us, you can come to luminaryvision.co.uk, and there's a really good booking system on the website that allows you just to select your setup, select how many people are recording. This is our table setup.
Yeah.
We're doing a three-way today.
Yeah.
First time
this is a nice little test. It was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we can have another person
well.
here. You can do a 4-person podcast on table setup.
Yeah, we're experimenting with those.
Yeah.
They're looking pretty nice.
We've got lounge.
We have the lounge setup, which was the previous one, and the face-to-camera setup, which we might have to do at one point. We might have to do a face-to-camera.
We've been talking about, we'll do a video. It might not be a podcast because it's usually suited more to a video, like a demonstration type video, but we'll do a demonstration type setup.
Yeah.
With the table facing the camera and maybe a camera on a product. We could show you our cameras and things like that. And film that and show you what that looks like.
I think earlier on, we sort of discussed the idea of kind of inviting people to see, to sort of say, oh, what do you want to see? Maybe if anyone's got any ideas of setups we could do.
Yeah.
They could maybe
throw some curveballs.
We could try something, something a bit unique. We could just see if we can recreate it in here. We had
some curveballs.
Yeah, in episode 2, we had the bed setup that I discussed as well.
Yeah, we discussed the bed.
So it doesn't need
random,
to just
but great.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was just the way I heard the talk about that happening. Like, we're going to get a bed in the studio. What is happening? Why are we having a bed in the studio?
I keep picturing like a little ball pool for something because I don't know why, but it'd just be fun.
I'm just having a funny thought of maybe do you know, because we can set dresses as best as we can, and we do want to try and set dresses to however they want to do. They can look at colours, they can check lighting effects, they can do whatever you like, because you can do quite a bit with these actually. But tell us what you're going to do and try. I mean, what I want to try maybe perhaps is make just look a little... Well, look, we've got palm trees. We could try and make this feel a little bit like a beach, although we might need to break...
we need the Hawaiian shirts. We mention them every episode.
We need the Hawaiian shirts. We need the Hawaiian shirts.
They're going to be mentioned every time until it happens.
Basically, apparently, we have to reach a certain number in order to get Hawaiian shirts. So everybody just try and book now so we can get Hawaiian shirts.
Comment Hawaiian shirts.
Hawaiian shirt in the bottom. But that's the thing. So you can book that, and then you can just have and we're here to help you. That's the whole thing. We'll be here to help you to edit it if you wanted to, or to just get through it and to light it, film it, everything you need.
And you can always see stuff popping up on the socials as well, can't we? We've got Luminary Vision on Instagram, on LinkedIn,
on YouTube.
On
YouTube, where you're probably
YouTube
seeing
Shorts.
YouTube Shorts are doing quite well, actually. I'm quite happy with those. Those bloopers are kicking it off. I think maybe just showing that maybe YouTube's the ultimate place for doing all our guffs.
Yeah.
all our big mistakes will all be on YouTube now. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it then, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's the end of it. Thank you very much. See you all later.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.